Here's to another lousy millennium.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome, Bows, to a new year.
And has it been a year? Well, technically, yes, it has, but at that point.
It's already been a year of this podcast. Definitely not just a month. It's been years of content.
Oh yeah, totally. just that's a great way to start the year. Lying to our fellow viewers. Anyway,
Yeah, our other stuff just didn't get posted. It was all a test run for a bit, but we've been going for years.
cope harder, why don't you, Leon? And today's we will be going over. Speaking of that, the last seasons of this past 2023.
Yes.
Starting with What If, and
What If Season 2?
Season 2, yes. The What If Season 2, and the Pokemon Connoisseur?
Concierge? Is that how you say it?
Concierge.
On
that one.
Netflix.
Fancy talk. Anyway. And I guess we'll get right into it.
Yes, we had, so Marvel just decided to drop all of What If Season 2 at the end of this year as a little Christmas gift for people. But was it a gift for us, or was it a lump of coal?
If you're talking about the Christmas special episode in general, because Cole, I think Santa just kicked me in the balls for that one.
Yeah, I feel like I shouldn't even make that joke because that whole episode just like ruined Christmas puns.
You ruined Christmas! Oh!
God damn it, Marvel.
What else is new?
But yeah, I would say this season is obviously a mashup of the first season of What If. I think it's also a bit of a mashup of like just some of the Marvel comedy in the recent phase of Marvel movies.
I'm so sick of that comedy. Jesus.
Yeah, I think one example I said, which I think isn't entirely true because I think it's actually a little bit worse than this, but Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, like something like that, with how like there are serious moments or cool moments, but then there's also just this like you feel like they have to like force comedy into it at points.
No, I feel that. And the whole What If one did feel like it was just, it's the epitome of the Marvel comedy to me, where it's just
Exactly.
so much. It's over and over of comedy in most of the episodes. Maybe not all of them, but
It
a lot
seems
of the
like there's
episodes
like
where
a
it's rapid fire Marvel comedy over and over.
It seems like it's like a 2/3 mix. Like 2/3 of it is like comedy, has to be comedy, and then there's like 1/3 of it that's like cool concepts or like the story, but then it just gets overshadowed by the comedy, I find, a lot of the time.
It's not even good comedy. It's like the
No,
kind of
like-
it's pretty cringy comedy.
It
too.
is.
It's the typical like. I can't believe Marvel's the one that ruined this form of comedy. I feel like
It's like
It was
dad
such a
jokes,
unique-
dad jokes kind of and stuff, basically.
meta commentary too, and all this stuff. It used. I mean, like in the Marvel way though. And then like I think what was it? I still think it was James Gunn that started it, and then they just they realized how good it took off and with Guardians, and then they were like, we're gonna take that and we're gonna put that in every fucking thing. So anyway,
Yeah, it's like they saw they had a golden egg and they just were like, holy shit, we can make all of our things this.
they had the golden heifer of comedy, and then they just milked it. They just milked that fucking cow dry. That thing is a fucking husk now. Is to the point now it's spoiled milk.
Well, I think
Just
the problem.
spoiled milk.
I think the problem kind of was just that they were already kind of unsure what they were gonna do after the whole Thanos, the first 3 phases with Thanos. So then they were like, well, "What do we do?" And they're grasping onto one of the high point. Like they're grasping onto the high points, basically.
Like the things that actually worked for it. And
Exactly.
Then now they just won't stop with it.
Well, because like a lot of this new phase, especially with actors dying or leaving or whatever, has to be them introducing new characters. So they're trying to, I think, recapture that same sort of magic they got with Guardians. so that it's like they almost think it's like a recipe. They're like, well, the Guardians recipe was that it was like half humor, half comedy or something.
Yeah.
But then it seems like when anyone else tries to do it, like they just can't manage it as well as James Gunn.
Yeah,
where, like
it's like not every character should have this type of comedy.
Yeah.
either. It's like
it just doesn't work for some characters. Like it works for the Guardians characters because we didn't know them and they weren't really established. So James Gunn kind of made them his own. Even though like maybe there is some childish comedy in there, especially with like the second one I found.
I will say that like the characters like Tony at least are consistent with their comedy. To be honest, I think Tony's like one of the few characters usually at least who's stuck to his his typical playboy go fuck yourself comedy that you see, which isn't bad when it's just Tony that's doing it at least. And thankfully I don't think he really. I'm just saying like I don't think the Iron Man, at least I can think of, resorted to like that type of comedy, like that type of comedy as you see in the other movies,
yeah,
and stuff like that. I think, and also probably like Captain America, at least his main, the main movies that have him in it. At least the What If series is a different story, but but
I feel like I'm not a huge fan of what they've done in What If of like either of those characters.
Oh no,
like
I'm not.
What If, Steve or Iron Man.
Yeah, Steve and Tony. Yeah. No, I agree. The What If is a different ball field. I'm talking about the main movies that we've had before with them in it. They had their own unique taste, or they had their own flavor, and everyone was happy. Then they pushed some of that comedy into Thor, which, to me.
And I think the main problem with What If with those characters and just most of the characters is that like they're trying to push the comedy too much with characters like Natasha, like Black Widow, or Iron Man, or Steve. And
I mean,
it's like
the biggest victim of that is definitely Thor. I would definitely say Thor.
Yeah.
They wrote all that.
But that's kind of one of those ones where I think at least it kind of works with that character. The thing with that just bugs me.
It has its moments.
But the thing that bugs me is like that just with What If that they do with everyone. And it's like, come on, guys. Like, holy shit. Like, we can have characters like Thor that do this. Like, comedy relief, sure. But like, wow, why did you do this with Steve, Iron Man? Like, everyone. Like, I guess Iron Man says funny things, but like, that one kind of makes sense.
Flavor,
but
though.
yeah.
He's the sarcastic, like the fuck you type of guy in a way. Like, I like Tony's comedy personally.
It's kind of like dark comedy in its own way, not entirely, but like he's kind of just an asshole, and that's why it's funny.
But that's why it's great.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Archer a little bit.
We're here for the asshole Tony.
Exactly. But it's kind of a mix of action superhero things like we've been seeing with Marvel in the first season of this show, mixed with like anthology shows like Black Mirror or Twilight Zone. Not nearly as good as either of those shows, but it's basing its premise off of and concepts off of those shows.
Oh yeah, it's like I think
Marvel's
Twilight Zone
version.
is a great example. It's What If is literally the Twilight Zone, but for Marvel.
Because that's like the evolution of it is like Black Mirror was just like modern day Twilight Zone and with like more technology and shit like that focus.
Oh yeah, very much.
But this is literally like Twilight Zone or that, but a Marvelized version, and it's animated too.
They could have done better with the animation too, to be honest. And it feels a little.
I know. I think it's just. I don't know. I've never been a fan of that like 3D sort of animation.
If they did, I kind of want it to look better. I don't want it. It looks.
I think it. I actually like
flat.
I actually like this a little bit better than like the look of like something like Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Like I was never a huge fan of like the look of that sort of 3D animation.
Oh, I'm not denying that.
But I think this works a little bit better for me because at least at points you could like. I think the cool thing about it is you can kind of pause it, and at points it'll look like 2D, but when it's moving, it just like. It doesn't. Yeah, it's just something seems a little off about it. I don't know. Is that kind of what your problem is with it too?
I think my thing is like it just. I feel like, especially since it's got fucking Disney money, or Marvel and Disney money behind it, I would think that they would use better look to it. Rather than, I could maybe.
I feel like some of the
remember this Spider-Verse. I think would be a good way of it. You know what I mean?
I feel like a lot of the character concepts are very bland for me. Like how the character concepts
I think
look.
exactly it. Everything feels really bland.
And I think that contributes to what I said about, like, I just think this animation style doesn't really work. It works for the action and all that stuff. It looks great. But then the comedy, and that's more of the focus here, it just doesn't work as well with that. And I think a big part of that is that these expressions and just like character designs and looks and stuff are just not very like inspired, or like they, in some cases they don't even look like the actors. And
you do have a hard time guessing on
Yeah.
sometimes who's who.
And like 75% of these people like actually came back to voice their characters. And if someone told, like, I didn't even know that until today, but if someone had told me, I would have said like a third of the actors maybe came back, because I thought in some of these cases, like, some of these actors just didn't even sound like how they sound in the movies.
Oh yeah, no.
I know you were saying that too.
And I was also complaining that a lot of the characters to me sound very similar too. Like the guy who played as
Justin Hammer.
Yeah, Justin Hammer sounds a lot like the master,
Grandmaster,
Grandmaster,
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah. Yep, they both sounded the same to me. Some of the other characters also have like that very similar tones, I think, throughout the
Do you think like
series.
I was thinking maybe part of that issue is that like they tell some of them like, oh, it's a cartoon, like,
I wouldn't doubt that's the reason.
like, because I feel like they just
have
sound a
to
little
change
different.
Their tones.
Exactly. To
I-
fit the character models more or something, but
I would not doubt that one bit. That's
just
why
looks
they
off.
do it. It just they need to switch it up a bit. I think they need to at least a different like the voices to sound at least different from each other, because sometimes they just sound the same to me, and it just, when you're watching it episode after episode, they just kind of blend and you just lose track, especially when, like you said, some characters just look weird, or you can't tell who it is sometimes, like, because how bland it is, so they kind of just mesh together. It's
yeah,
a mess.
Yeah, no, seriously. And I don't know, I guess we should basically kind of break this season down for folks that, you know, are wondering what's going on with this season if they haven't seen it yet, or
Yep, start us off then with it.
but basically we once again follow the Watcher, exploring the vast and dense multiverse of the MCU.
Still a really good character. I still like the Watcher.
Yeah, and Jeffrey Wright,
Yeah,
the actor from Westworld and some other things, is amazing. I think it fits perfectly with that character.
oh yeah, he's got a good he's basically like a good narrator voice.
Yeah. But basically most of this season is kind of just like the first season, where you're following him, he's narrating some of these stories, and it's not really until the very end that we start to get into this overall story that What If kind of also had with its first season. But basically it revolves mainly around the character of Captain Carter getting caught in some multiversal shenanigans, basically, with Strange Supreme. And but most of this doesn't happen until the last two episodes mainly.
Yeah, it was the 2 episodes.
She had her own episode, but it's not until the very cliffhanger ending that it sets up the other 2 episodes
I guess you
where
can
it actually gets
technically say
addressed.
3, since she's in
That one.
she's in the other episode
Yeah.
with her in there, and I guess it's technically a continuation stuff. But the story wise, like, where it connects to the main
The overall story, exactly.
Yeah, it's like I would say the 2 episodes, which like
were the highlights, I think, of this season.
Oh yeah, I agree. Those I think were the better episodes.
I think those are the
Even
2
though
best.
I'm still pointing out so many stupid plot holes on certain things that I was having my very
I
big
think the
tangent earlier.
I think the last episode in particular, we'll get into it more later, but
Yes,
has some like
we'll get there,
Avengers
we'll get there.
Endgame sort of problems there, where it's very enjoyable, but then there's also some glaring kind of plot hole things there as well.
Oh, like, for sure, and there's other things, but we'll get there when
Yeah.
So we'll start it off with episode 1.
Yes, which was the Nebula joins the Nova Corps episode, which I actually liked, but I think because I remember we watched it, I think, together, right? That first one?
We watched it together. We both liked the premise. Like, it had a feel of an old noir detective type of movie that you'd see. Very good. But the thing that drags it down is it's very, like, fast in a way, which
I think it's one of the
that's
shortest
not a noir
episodes.
feel to it.
I think it's
Noirs
like
go kinda
29 or
slow.
30 minutes. It's like one of the shortest ones of this season.
They had to speed it up. I get the reason why they had to rush it, or in a way, but everything just feels very sped up.
The pacing
which is
feels
not what you want in a noir detective. It's noir are very slow. They're very, like, build-uppy. where they're like, you got to solve the mystery.
The pacing felt very like fucking just way too fast.
Yes, and then they also wasted, I think, a lot of time on the weird like comic.
Well, know what I think
Howard and stuff.
Yeah, the comic stuff with once they started to introduce that element with Korg and Groot and Howard, which was just a random ass pairing.
Korg is in so many episodes.
Weren't they all working together? Like they're just working at some place.
They were all
or
working for
something?
Howard, I believe.
Yeah.
It was Groot,
That was just so random.
Korg, and Howard the Duck were.
Yeah.
It felt really weird.
So basically, she recruits them to like a team in a way, and that was once again where the comedy just didn't mesh well with that episode.
No, I felt if they kept it very serious and just focused on the detective feel to it, kept it nice and like slow, the build up, it would have been a lot better than just throwing the random BS Marvel comedy in there in the form of Howard the fucking Duck.
Yeah, no, seriously. But yeah, so I don't know. I think that was one of our other issues we were talking about was they put Korg in so many fucking episodes.
So many
this
what ifs
season.
between season 1 and 2.
I don't know.
God, dude.
Taika Waititi, the actor and director, must have not been doing shit recently.
He's just beating off the rocks, man. He just loves his Rockman so fucking much.
And we like Korg too, but
Yeah, no.
he just is so overused here. And other thing we talked about was that he's just always the same in every multiverse. Like
he has no differences.
Yeah, he's exactly
the
the
same
same.
personality, the same guy, just in a different situation.
Yep.
That's it. That's the only difference that's between them, which is a little. They don't even change his color.
so, yeah,
Maybe he's Yellow Rock's one universe. Maybe
I think
he's fucking different.
even if it's not bad, it just comes across as lazy, kind of. I think when they introduce that element into the episode, and it just doesn't even mesh really. What it kind of starts to become also, even though it was a noir thing when they introduced that element. I feel like they started to do that like bank heist thing.
Yeah, it felt like that when
Yeah.
they sprung the what's his name, the prisoner dude.
Oh yeah. I'm drawing a blank right now, but yeah, exactly. It was literally like they put prison heist elements in there too, and it's like
Yeah, and that felt a little.
what are
bit
you
out of
guys trying to
place
do
in a while.
here? Like prison heist story or noir?
If they kept with the noir theme, I think it would have been especially.
Yeah.
That would probably been one of the best episodes, to be honest.
It should have just had like pretty much just her, or maybe even just Howard the Duck or something, and like Groot,
I mean,
and
he could have
Groot's
just
his
made
mu-
an appearance for a little while.
Maybe
but
Groot's
wasn't,
like his
part of
muscle
the
or
end.
something, but like it just seemed like they introduced like way too many elements in there where it's with the comedic stuff where it just seemed like we have to tack this on to the story, like it also needs this.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's and then them defeating oh my god.
And the villains I thought were also very forgettable in that one because it was like literally the villains from Captain Marvel.
Yeah, spoiler alert, the big reveal was the leader of the Nova Corps lady was the one letting in oh my god, what's
Jan Rog or whatever, the Captain Marvel villain, that guy.
What was it? No, the guard from First Guardian, what was it? Something the Accuser or whatever it was?
Oh, Ronan.
Ronan the Accuser.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he just gets defeated because they opened the shield and then closed it on him. Which I thought was like, wow, they could have done this the whole time.
I feel like there's a lot of things like that in this series also where it's like almost like I don't know if they're doing it intentionally or not, but it's almost like they're pointing out stupid flaws in like Marvel things.
The idea of
Like the
defeating big
Infinity
bad
Stones
guy
or
by
something.
slamming his
Remember that in
fucking,
the
door on him.
Because remember that in the finale where the Kahori, the new hero, the Black Panther villain, Killmonger is running towards her in the Infinity suit, and then she just like takes him out of it.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like I feel like they just do stuff like that at points where you're almost like, are you like
What?
pointing out like how stupid some of these things are or something? Because like, or is this parody almost?
Was it meant to be a joke?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's in a way you just made it seem like,
You fucking
wow, you guys are
downgraded these
stupid. You
people.
could have just done this the whole time, you know?
Yeah, no, I 100% get. That's what it feels like sometimes, and especially we'll get to it once again in the last episode. Like I said, there's
Yeah.
and some things that don't make sense. But anyway,
But yeah, I think that about wraps it up for the first episode.
good, decent enough. Could have been better if they just stuck with their guns with the noir and slow-paced feel.
Not everything needs to be multi-genre. Like, you don't have to be, oh, it's this and this and this, you know? Like,
And to be honest, they could have just skipped the whole bank heist BS.
yeah,
I mean,
that didn't
and
need to
just-
be there.
and like maybe just threw him in another way. Maybe he's, I don't know, a drifter or something like that. He's just some scum lord they find that they know of, because she seems to know all the other shitty scum lords. That like Howard's is supposedly like some underground fucking gambling ring.
That's what it seemed like. So I was expecting him to be a little bit more of a scumbag or something. Like, I don't know. It's just
he
like
didn't have to be in prison. They could have just kept him as this, and then he just knows some fucking information. Because also when you put like the big baddie's plan, it didn't make total kind of sense in certain ways too. Like, so you knew that she was just gonna bust this guy out of jail and fucking decide to occupy her and use cyborg brain, because cyborg brain is the only way to unlock the entire security system for reasons.
It's like, man, that seems a little complex, a little convoluted, bud.
I would also think cyborgs would be more common in a space universe.
Yeah.
Just saying. Like, I figured, like, it'd be like Cyberpunk. Everyone's got fucking robot like cyborg like abilities if they can, and they can like. They put in hacking devices in themselves and shit. Like, I don't know.
Well, yeah, why don't they take him
spoiled by cyberpunk worlds?
Well, it's just you would expect, I think, some more complexities to it like that, or like some more world building, or some them to do some cool stuff with the story in that sort of way.
Like, I would not have figured cyborgs were so rare in the Marvel fucking space universe.
Yeah. But then, so I guess we'll move on to episode 2, which was the Peter Quill attacks Earth's mightiest heroes in like the 80s, I think, right?
I thought it was an okay episode. Once again, I had my own little things. I think they could have done a little bit better with it, but definitely fine enough.
I thought that was one of the better ones of this season.
It was very wholesome, at least at the very end. I thought it was very wholesome in a funny way, where it's like, it's just weird having Peter Quill as a kid. He doesn't have all those characteristics that we know from
it's kind of like
Peter.
A different character at this point.
Yeah.
And that's why I was telling you, I was like, I didn't know if I was going to like this episode or not, because if they kept Quill as just like a little asshole, I was like, come on, like, I feel like he's not really like that. Like, and I like that he kept his humanity, like, even though like it was pretty much his dad kind of forcing him to do this stuff.
I also kind of like the idea if he was actually just kind of brainwashed, with little hints of him going on, like him visiting his mom's grave, even though he's still maybe brainwashed. Might have been a nice touching scene. Yada yada. Maybe the guy convinces him somehow to do like to help him out some way, but still trying to like convince Ego. But then the whole big drop of Ego. Honest to God, like the big drop when Ego basically reveals, "Yeah, I killed your mom, Peter.
Yeah,
fuck you." And I don't think he got mad enough. If you're a little kid hearing this asshole say, "Yeah, I killed your mom," you're gonna fucking. I was expecting a bigger like anger scene than we got from Guardians 2 type Peter.
Well,
Guardians 2 Peter was even more.
He was pretty
pissed.
angry at the end though when he ends up capping his ass.
Oh, he didn't. It didn't feel like anger. It felt very cheap anger to me.
Yeah.
It felt more like I have power, fuck you, bitch. It didn't feel like like angry Peter releasing his fucking pent up aggression on.
Well, that could just be the weird writing on this show.
It could have been.
Where they're just rushing things.
I mean,
like we said, like
I think
sometimes
they
they don't even have
just-
time to have a scene of just like him talking to someone about.
He's like an 11-year-old
emotions
boy.
or
You're gonna
something.
be,
Yeah,
you piss off
exactly.
11-year-old or some shit. You're gonna He's gonna be a fucking mess. He's gonna be literally screaming his fucking ass off, saying, "Go fuck yourself, Dad." Especially when you reveal, "Yeah, I killed your mommy." He's gonna be like,
I like that they got.
screaming mess
I like that they
everywhere.
got Kurt Russell back for that episode though.
Yeah, I wish they kind of gave him his beard though. Still, he looks a little weird, clean shaven to me. But I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, had Kurt Russell back in that episode. Michael Douglas back in that episode as Hank Pym. John Slattery as Howard Stark, Tony's father.
Yeah.
And then Lawrence Fishburne as Dr. Bill Foster. And I thought it was pretty cool that Lawrence Fishburne's character was finally able to get like a costume and stuff too.
No, that was pretty cool.
I think he's Stature in the comics.
Yes, I think.
I think. I'm not sure. That's like kind of like a
like I
deep
wasn't even
cut
sure what
character,
some of
but-
these characters were, to be honest with you, when I was watching it, because I think, like we said, everyone kind of looks very similar.
Yeah.
throughout the
I thought this
whole,
was like kind of a cool team
everything.
lineup though. Like you had like Black Panther's dad too.
Like we didn't even know Tony's dad was technically in until we were just discussing it earlier. Like, oh fuck, that's why it was so impactful that he was.
I knew it
putting-
was
he's
him.
talking
He
down.
looks like other characters almost that I literally had to like
does.
see him for a couple of seconds and I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, that's not Bucky or whoever, that's Tony's dad."
I mean, like it took a little while. That was like why it was so impactful that he was talking down when Bucky. He's like, oh fuck, that's right. Bucky kills him, and he's talking him down in another universe.
But I thought out of all the actors, I thought Kurt Russell was really good in this episode.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really cool to kind of have Ego as like an Avengers villain. I don't know. I thought this was one of my favorite ones of this season. I thought
I thought it was good. I think they should
just because
they should have kept the beard. I think on Ego's character.
minus 3 points from Silas.
Yes, I'm just because they should have kept the beard because he looks a lot like other people. Everyone's clean shaven, and so many people are just clean shaven in this universe. They all look very similar.
They're like, we can't do beards well with the animation or
Fuck
some
you.
shit.
Yeah, that's not an excuse. You guys are working with some generic animation. The beard you could just kept still and just added to it. No one would have given a shit knowing them.
Oh, and also not to go back and talk about it too much, but we also had Karen Gillan returning as Nebula in the first one.
Oh yeah, that was no. You can tell that was her. It was the same actor.
Seth Green returning as Donald the Duck. Or
Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck. Holy shit.
Donald Duck. Dude, what if the
Well,
voice
Disney
of
owns
Donald
both.
Duck was voicing
Disney owns
Howard the
both
Duck?
now.
Dude, Disney, man, they could have maybe got whoever voices Donald and turned things to be his voice of Howard.
Find it funny it's Seth Green though, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of him in like the What If so far. He's not bad, but like I just think it's mainly the comedy not working well for me in this show.
Yeah, I
that
think
I'm
that's just
kinda
Marvel
like,
comedy writing. Yes.
I wish he did a better thing with Howard the Duck than this shit. But
Yeah.
I think he could continue to voice that character if they did some cool like movie or even a short form or something in the future.
Yeah, I mean, like, he was the voice of Howard in the movie, like that little end scene with the collector and that.
Yeah, he's always been the voice of
Yeah.
Howard in the MCU.
Yeah, so I mean, like, to be honest, I kind of liked Howard in that one just because he was part of the collection.
So I'm
It's like a
saying,
nice
I
little
feel like
Easter
James
egg.
Gunn knows
Oh,
how to
there he is.
write Howard, but like no one else does really.
I can kind of see it. I mean, like,
But James Gunn doesn't even include Howard much. I think he just, I don't know. He's a hard character to write, I think.
I mean that's true. It's Howard the fucking Duck.
Yeah.
It's not much to expect, to be honest. He isn't the fucking end all be all. Of the
Yeah. But yeah, I thought Karen Gillan was probably the highlight of that episode
Oh yeah.
with Nebula.
Yeah,
And then I
she
thought
nailed it. She had a good noir voice. Right?
Yeah.
She had a really good noir
the
voice.
noir aspects worked well.
Never
I
would have thought
thought-
Nebula being a noir detective, but it actually really works.
It does. I wish they focused on that more. And then Kurt Russell, I thought, was probably the highlight of the second one.
Oh yeah, his voice acting was good.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty good.
Because like I said to you,
Felt
I
like
think
Ego
some
from the
of
movie.
these people just don't work as well when they come to do the What If cartoon.
I still think he was better in Guardians 2, but granted we got more of him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he did feel like he had a little bit more of a emotion, especially when he's angry. But that
Mhm.
could have just been maybe the lack of a good facial features in the animation, so it didn't come off as better. But
I think it
still,
was
he
that's
did a fine
part
enough
of it.
voice with the voicing for most of it. I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And I thought Michael Douglas as Hank was good too.
Oh yeah.
He was when he had to give the speech to Peter. Like that stuff's kind of like part of the heart of the episode, and I didn't think it worked amazingly, but like I thought that was kind of like an interesting thing because I was like, well, it kind of makes sense. Like he lost his wife, Hope, his daughter, when she's his age, and she lost her mom just like he did.
Oh yeah, it was
So
very.
it kind of makes sense that
It was
like
a very wholesome
Yeah.
ending with that, where he
That
just
worked well
basically
for
adopts
me.
Peter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's sweet.
that worked well for me because I feel like they didn't try to force it too much either. It just made sense.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that episode I thought was one of the better ones. But episode 3, I feel like that tanked it
Die
Like-
Hard, but
because I feel like it made me think lesser of the previous two after I watched it. But yeah, Die Hard with Happy Hogan. or as they call him in the episode, Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan. God
Yep.
damn it.
Fucking purple, veiny Hulk.
Dude, I mean, like, it's just kind of funny seeing how they made Happy just better than Bruce at being the Hulk. Or in a...
That
maybe
scene
not
where
in
he, like,
strength, but,
fucking went ham.
yeah, how he just goes ham, but he's able to
That was like the
control
one
the Hulk
highlight
so
of this
much
episode,
better.
I feel like. I was like, this scene's pretty badass, but this
I did like the
episode's still
fight scene in that.
stupid.
It was cool seeing him tear things apart so brutally, but other than that, it's like it's the dialogue though. Is what
Exactly.
ruins
It's
this.
so fucking terrible in this
Oh.
episode. Because they just try to... It's already
Cringy
bad, and then they're
Christmas
like,
pun
what if we
after
made it
cringy pun.
Christmas themed with everything, too? We're talking, like, basic jokes that, like, you could literally think of in a couple seconds. Like, oh, my snowballs, or, like, some shit like that, basically. Like,
Yep. It was very much. It was just entirely fucking Christmas puns, jokes, one after. Not even a break either. I think it was like one.
no, there was,
Christmas
like,
joke,
one point where it was, like, three
then
in a
another
row,
one right
yeah.
after. It's all in the same dialogue.
Yeah.
They just non-stop. Especially like fucking.
It was one of those ones where I was
fella.
sitting there watching it by myself the night it came out, and I was like, like it's just one of those ones where you literally go
It's
like,
so cringe.
or like, have you ever had that like where you're just like, shut the fuck up, like where you just like literally audibly say that like to some of the dialogue.
Yeah,
like,
no, and it's also like
Jesus.
a Die Hard movie the whole fucking time too.
but terrible at being that.
Yeah.
Because like Justin Hammer's supposed to be like the villain in Die Hard, and Happy's supposed to be like Bruce Willis, I guess. But it just then it becomes him being Hulk and everything, and totally strays away from that.
It was just stupid of the fucking henchman just trying to get into fucking Tony's secret like lab shit with a sledgehammer of all fucking things.
Oh yeah.
I'm just like, fucking, you think Tony would fucking have regular glass? I feel like that shit shouldn't even cracked.
Did that work too? I forget.
No, in the end, he just got like all those the Iron Man fucking things to blast a fucking hole in the glass.
Oh,
So it was all
hammer.
pointless. They were
Yeah.
just hammering for nothing. It did nothing. I'm like, he could just done.
So
this.
why did he even get these stupid goons?
Yeah,
he
they
didn't
were
even
the most
need
useless
them.
Goons. I mean, granted, they were the smartest goons because they just ditched the moment the Avengers show, or like the
And
moment,
then they were once
the
again
Hulk-
like,
I'm sorry, Hulk Hogan decided to really start fucking shit up, and they're like, yeah, we ain't getting paid for this.
I thought it was stupid too. That was just another thing. They were like, comedy relief. We need these two goons. Like,
With
foreigner-
stereotypical Russian accents.
they're foreigner. Yeah,
For some
exactly.
reason.
You're crazy.
We don't get paid enough for this, boss. It's like, oh.
It's so stupid.
It really was just they just wanted to make a stupid Die Hard spinoff. That's all
Yeah.
it was.
But literally, yeah. So if you're fans of the characters Happy Hogan or Darcy from the Thor movies or Justin Hammer from Iron Man 3,
Oh, yeah.
I guess this episode's for you. But if you're, I don't know. It's pretty much the only people who might like it, I would say. And even at that point, you're probably going to hate
I'm gonna
it.
tell you now. But no, yeah. I'm like, there were a few. There's a joke once in a while that gets you.
Yeah.
What was it? The Tony's greatest enemy being a wealth tax got me a little chuckle out. I'm like, damn it. It's a little bit shameful too. You chuckle
Yeah,
and you're
exactly.
like, fuck, why did I laugh at that?
I didn't laugh at a single thing, so I don't have to feel shamed like you.
Oh, I'm cringe.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm cringe.
They get you every once in a while.
Yeah.
Happens with everyone.
I think I was just happy not to get a Christmas joke after.
Wow, one finally not about Christmas.
Not Christmas joke. Wait, shit.
But yeah, they had Jon Favreau come back as Happy for this. Kat Dennings is Darcy, and then what's his face is Justin Hammer. Sam Rockwell.
Gonna lay down the hammer.
They also had Kobe Smulders from How I Met Your Mother come back as Agent Maria Hill. I just thought it was kind of weird also, like, that the whole concept of this episode was almost like her in charge of, like, the Avengers party or some shit like that. And then even though she's in charge of it or something, she's like, Happy, I need you to do this. Like, I'm really expecting you to do this or some shit like that. And then like pretty much makes him like her bitch, just like, oh, you got to do all this shit, like make sure the party doesn't fuck up.
Get your
happy
fucking shit
it's on
together,
you.
happy.
Yeah.
Get your shit together, happy. Don't fuck this up.
But I was like, isn't she she's a shield agent? Why is she like, I don't know. I just thought that was like another one of those just weird plot hole things where I'm like, why would a shield agent? Okay, maybe I'm just overthinking it, obviously, but why is like a shield agent hosting like an Avengers party or like
I don't know.
security
like,
for an Avengers party or
from the
something?
sounds
They're
of it,
Avengers.
It's like it was Tony's party, but since Jarvis was out, he for some reason got Shield to fucking do everything. For him.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like Jarvis, wasn't that one of the things they conveniently put into the episode, probably so that they could do that? They're
Yeah.
like, Jarvis is offline.
Yeah, and then they got the German one that was just a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, I forgot
The
about that.
What was it, German or?
It just once again felt like one of those things they just tacked on in there.
Yeah. I
Oh,
don't know
Jarvis is offline or whatever,
why. Yeah.
so we can do this whole Die Hard and Shield's here protecting us story or whatever.
Oh.
Okay, so I guess it made a little bit more sense than I thought, but still, it just I don't know, it came across as weird to me.
I'm still gonna fucking shit on it. I don't care.
Stupid.
Ugh.
And I don't think anyone ever asked for an episode like this. If we want a Christmas episode, I think you want like Iron Man or Captain America or people like that. Why do we
Instead
want
of having a little cameo with
Yeah. Why do we want a Christmas episode with fucking
Honestly,
Happy and
I think a
all
nice
the other side characters?
a nice Christmas episode that was actually just a regular Christmas fucking moment of just see them being on a Christmas day. Like I would have preferred probably an episode where it showed them on the like
On
remember
Christmas?
how they were showing like Tony is actually is being Santa at the
Yeah.
mall with Steve.
No, exactly. If you're
Steve
gonna
Rogers.
if you're gonna make it comedic focused anyway,
It would
might
have
as
been a
well do
nice
something
little
like
wholesome
that.
fucking
Yeah.
Christmas thing. I would have actually liked. Nothing bad happens, really.
That's what
Fucking
I'm saying.
Bruce and Hawkeye are just arguing over to get the last toy for Christmas. And, I think what was it, Hawkeye that was just holding it from all the kids. He's
Yeah.
like, "Nope, this is mine. I got to bring this home. My
Dumb.
kids want it."
There was like an Iron Man toy too.
Yeah. Sorry, Bruce. This is mine. I got to bring this to kids.
Both your kids
My wife
don't
told
want
me not
your-
to come home
when
without
neither
it.
of your kids when you're both superheroes and neither of your kids want your toy. Why did Bruce want it? He doesn't have any kids.
I'm not even sure if he wanted it or if it was just because the kids weren't letting him. I think the kids weren't letting him go, and Bruce is just like he was probably there to help Hawkeye.
Uh-huh.
But then Hawkeye, when he got it, all the kids are like, "No, it's mine, it's mine." And then Hawkeye's like, "I can do this all day. I'm just waiting." And then Bruce is just like, "I want to go home. I want to go home."
That's the
Okay.
thing. We want to know what the story
Yeah,
is there,
I'm
though.
more invested in
Yeah.
the side stories. Natasha just fucking meeting some person that just wants to kill her.
Yeah.
Well, nothing new there, but still. But I mean, I would have preferred that. I would have preferred that nice little.
I thought those
Christmas
comedy
special.
moments with them worked a
Like,
little bit better out of some of
Why
the
was
comedy
Thor
ones
also
in
late?
this.
I want to know what was he up to for
Yeah.
Christmas.
No, literally, all those things I think would have interested me more than what we got.
Nothing bad happens, really. It's just a little nice Christmas spirit.
I just thought Justin Hammer was a terrible villain in this episode.
Oh yeah, for
too.
sure.
And that actor's fucking voice acting like was just so hammy and over the top.
I think it was also
almost.
just really cringy because
He kind of reminded me of like
everything
Elmer,
was
he
a
reminded,
pun.
he reminded me of like Elmer Fudd at points. There was like a point where he's like, "Huh," like he like did like that little Elmer Fudd laugh. I was like, "What the fuck?"
To me, he honestly reminded me of Jeff Goldblum's type of characters, where he's like, "Huh, look at that." He's just so snarky and
I
fucking,
hated him in that episode.
very narcissistic. You know, the characters that he usually plays as, just like the Grandmaster.
But I would say that was the weakest one of this season and probably the series as a whole. I think the only other one that's weaker in the series or as weak in the series is that What If Zombies one.
Oh, don't bring that up again.
Yeah, we won't even go there. But yeah,
we
it's
won't
just-
go there.
Those
but
are the two worst to me.
I think that one, everyone has put their gripes with that one. So, all right. Speaking of Jeff Goldblum's Grandmaster
Yes.
characters,
Then there was Iron Man crashed into the Grandmaster.
Mhm.
And this one's basically Thor Ragnarok, like a retelling of Thor Ragnarok with Tony and Gamora.
yeah.
If like Thor Ragnarok met Death Race. 'Cause it's all about like Tony basically crafting like a Iron Man vehicle thing
Mm.
to compete in this Death Race on the Grandmaster's planet.
It was really weird. It just had a weird feeling. The whole time.
I kind of just was wondering where it was going, really.
Yeah.
And I guess it kind of made sense because then I was thinking it was kind of stupid. And I was like, well, I guess Tony in Iron Man 2 was doing that race. So I guess like Tony has raced before, but like
I get the racing, but I don't think he would have.
Yeah, I don't know.
Raced it, to be honest.
Yeah, serious. I don't know. That just seemed weird to me. I'm gonna be a death racer now. Tony, what the fuck?
Grandmaster, like, this is a chariot race. I'm sorry, we gotta emphasize it was a chariot race. A chariot race.
Yes.
Fucking Tony the whole time. This is NASCAR. No, it's not NASCAR. It's chariot race.
But yeah, I thought and it seemed like weirdly enough, didn't they say at the beginning of this episode, that like wasn't it about Gamora or something? They were saying that like this was the version of Gamora before something.
It was
one of the other episodes.
It was in
or something.
I think the season 1.
Yeah.
Reference to that.
I forget
like,
what episode it was though, but it's kind of like
I got rewatched.
I guess it's a prequel to one of the season 1 episodes of Gamora.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing with this that's weird at points is like sometimes there's episodes that are connected and it almost like doesn't even feel like they're connected, like they're kind of separate or something. Kind of like the Kahori. It
was the Gamora from like what was that? Like they had a league of people who were from other universes that just came together.
Oh, was she in the multiverse? The Guardians of the Multiverse, was she in that?
I believe so.
Okay,
I believe it was the Gamora
that.
from that they were Gamora from that they were referencing.
Okay.
And that's what led to her thing.
So it's pretty much her backstory, but then it focused mainly on Tony.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird. Yeah, I don't know. It was just a weird episode. I think it was a missed opportunity.
I mean, I could see.
There's some cool things there, but
I do like a Tony episode, but this didn't feel like the best Tony episode.
And then it was another one of those things where it was what we talked about earlier, where remember at the end, they kill Thanos with literally that thing from Thor Ragnarok that just touches people, and I was like, once again, you guys are it's like you guys are calling out like, oh, you guys are stupid. You could have just killed them the whole time with this or something like that. And it's just like, why are you calling out Marvel's own logic? This is literally a MCU show. It's like you're calling out how stupid.
Dude,
it makes you think like the past thing's stupid now. Dude, you know what I'm saying?
So you're saying that the henchman of the Grand Master was secretly OP as fuck
exactly.
With this fucking weapon?
According to them.
Dude, I'm like, why does this?
In this universe, they weren't so stupid like the MCU universe, and they actually decided to fucking kill Thanos with this thing because it's so OP.
That'd be a whole nother fucking world.
I don't know. I just think shit like that sometimes. I go like, what? Like when they do that in What If, and I'm just like, you almost just, I don't know. It's almost like you guys are just calling out like the main Marvel universe, saying, "Oh, you guys are stupid. You should have killed them like this. You could have gotten it done way faster."
I'm not even sure if it felt like a call out. To me, it just felt like just a shitty ass writing because I feel like that would not
I think
actually
it is
work.
that.
I'm like, I don't think that would work, fellas. I
But
don't think a fucking the henchman of the side plot would have had the fucking biggest, the most powerful weapon in the whole fucking universe.
One notable thing I think to say with this episode is that Robert Downey Jr. wasn't reprising his role as Tony, obviously.
Yeah.
It's Mick Winger is his name now, the actor. And I feel like he does an okay like RDJ impression, but it's just like it just feels like impersonation kind of in a way.
I guess
like it just seems off to me.
Yeah, I would say it's not. I know it's not Tony.
He's not terrible though.
It's not the worst thing I've heard. I think it's also just, to me, I think it could just been better if it was better writing.
And then it's just, I think it's the writing partially too, exactly. Yeah.
Like, Tony didn't have totally Tony feelings to him. Or, you know, I mean, it just didn't feel like Tony to me for most of it. You see elements of it, just,
I feel like they don't do enough with him. Like, they kind of underuse him, and I think that shows that they don't really know what to do with him. Because even in this own episode, this is his episode, he feels like he's a little underused to me. Because I think it also doubles as like a Nebula episode.
You mean Gamora?
Or Gamora, sorry. But yeah, we got... So we don't have RDJ back, but we got Jeff Goldblum back as the Grand Master. And I guess that was Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, too. But that was one of those ones when she was in that one and I was watching it, I was like... It didn't feel like. Yeah, exactly. That was one of those ones. I'm like, is this even her? Like, So that's what I was saying earlier when we addressed that, where I'm like, I feel like some of these actors, it's like 25% of the time it actually sounds like the actor, and then some of the actors actually do come back. It's like they actually do get like 2/3 of them to come back, but then some of the times they just sound a little off or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They don't sound the same.
Yeah.
Or something like. Tell you the truth, I was even questioning whether it was Jeff Goldblum himself that's the Grandmaster came back. I'm like, it sounds a little different.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I'm like, I hear elements, but he didn't like the original Grandmaster.
I was
just
wondering
sounded like
that.
Jeff Goldblum,
I was
to be
wondering
honest
that
with you.
too.
I think he did a little bit of a voice change to it.
But it's like I was telling you, it's like maybe they told them like, we want you to sound like more cartoony or whatever the fuck kind of note they told them to like change their voice a little bit, but they sound just slightly different in some of these cases.
That's kind of weird. He was happy dying, just melting for some reason.
Oh yeah, that was stupid. Fuck, you
I'm
just reminded me of that. Just reminded me of that. God.
Oh no, I'm melting. Yeah. He's just like, ain't that shit. Oh, look at that. It's not as bad as I thought. He's just fucking slut. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy? I'm like, I was actually wondering. I'm like, I'm not too aware of the Grandmaster in comics, so maybe that's just him. Maybe he would be like that, but
that was just them doing comedy.
okay, so that was just them being dumb.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, was he really like this? Because I don't remember.
But yeah, so then from that one, we got the Captain Carter fought. What if Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper? And this is where they kind of pick up the story a little bit more.
Yeah,
Because Captain Carter's from the first season.
Yeah, it's like she's the Captain Carter from this.
And she's
also,
kind of like Captain America in the main universe, where it's almost like she's
the what ifs version of basically Captain America.
She's like in the future now. Basically, like she's at the point in the future where this is almost like at the point of time the Winter Soldier happened in the main universe.
Mm.
So this is basically like their version of like Captain America the Winter Soldier with Peggy instead.
Yeah.
And with Steve in place of Bucky.
Steve.
But Steve's in like what's that thing, the Hydra Stomper it's called. It's basically like it's like almost like someone repurposed is it the same people that got Bucky and Winter Soldier basically got Steve instead, and they repurposed like Howard's Iron Man armor or something
like that.
Yeah, I don't even know how they got that armor.
I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit more in and out at this point.
Yeah,
especially after getting my brain drained since I was binge watching them all.
That's what happened to me. I watched like 2 or 3, and this was like the third one I watched in a row, and this was one of those ones I thought was also just kind of a missed opportunity. Like it seemed like they were trying to make it, I think with a lot of these, especially this season, it's like it's basically like Thor 1 but with this character instead or something like that. Like they do stuff like that, and in this case, like I said, it's like Captain America Winter Soldier but with Peggy.
Yeah.
And it's cool at points, but then I don't know, you're kind of wondering where they're going with it too. And then in the end, ultimately, it just kind of doesn't even matter because then they just once again take her out of the story to kind of
into a new universe.
Into the new universe or into this. Oh, we gotta feed into the overall story. Fuck your story or whatever.
I mean, like I did like
which is better. So I'm kind of glad they do that.
I was about to say she does better in the other universes. To be honest,
it's a more interesting story, but
I'm like not shitting on this episode totally. It's just.
Yeah.
It's an episode.
It is. And I think that was one of the other things that was bugging me too this season. And I thought she was really good in season 1, and she's still good in this season, but I just can't unsee it now. And with season 1, I didn't know this at the time, but the actress for Black Widow is the same actress, Lake Bell, that plays Poison Ivy in the Harley Quinn show.
Oh yeah, I
and
remember
she
you
sounds
pointed that out to
exactly
me.
the same. She sounds exactly the same with both of her voices.
The moment I heard, like,
so now
you
when
pointed
I just,
that out, I'm like, holy shit, it is.
Now when I just hear her, I'm like, this is literally fucking just her Poison Ivy character.
I mean, it kind of works. I ain't gonna lie.
It
sounds
does,
good.
but like at the same time, I'm like, I feel like it's just kind of lazy in a way too. But I don't know. I don't hate it though, and I think it actually works better than like that guy as Tony.
Yeah,
and,
no,
the guy
I'll say
as
it was
Steve,
better. It did do better than as.
But it's just like, to me, I can't. It's almost like one of those things I can't unsee and like
can't unhear.
It doesn't take points off. Yeah, I can't unhear. Yeah, it doesn't take points off for me or anything, But it's just one of those things. I'm kind of like, I'm just gonna have to get used to because I'm like, damn, they're literally like exactly the same, like those two voices.
Points off for not having Harley in there. I needed Harley. But no, it was fine though.
But I liked her in this episode, and I thought it was kind of cool that like it was like Captain Carter and her. It's like kind of like best friends basically.
Yeah, no, I do.
Kind of like Steve and Falcon.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they were the two best friends almost. And even kind of Steve and Natasha's own dynamic in that movie, Winter Soldier. Yeah. So it kind of mimicked both of those things. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. But besides that, I just feel like there wasn't a whole lot they did with this episode.
Yeah, nah, it's like I said,
you almost wouldn't expect.
I liked Peggy's character.
Yeah,
the thing.
It was kind of predictable, I think, right? Mm-hmm. I would say it's kind of predictable.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty. It plays out how you kind of predict it to go until the very end, of course.
The twist ending.
Yep. Yeah, but yeah, Peggy is the new Cap, or the Cap in that universe. She does a good job. And that hurts a little bit being American, seeing a fucking Union Jack shield, but you know what? It's still fine. It's still fine. Anyway, yeah, not too much to say.
I think that's one of the better people too is that actress Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter. Mm. I think she does a really good job in this series.
Oh yeah, she sounded fine.
Because it's just like she sounds like her character in the live action thing. This doesn't sound different to me, really. So yeah, I thought this was a pretty good episode. Definitely better than some of the other ones we were kind of talking less about.
I say this was like a good mid one, to be honest. Yeah, but it leads into something better in the later.
Exactly.
Things. So anyway, next step. I would say next episode.
Next was the only one that you didn't see this season. The Kahori reshapes the world.
Yes.
Which was the new episode, the new Marvel character that they created for this show and for the MCU.
That was actually one reason I kind of skipped it because I didn't know who that was. I'm like,
you just thought it was like a character that they've already made before that like a deep cut.
I don't know what hero this is and yada yada. I'm like. I think I also took a little break at this point because, like I said, my brain was kind of going on drain at this point. So I'm like, next, gotta keep going.
Well, we won't address this episode much then since you haven't seen it. But I would say the weird thing kind of about this episode is it's good, but it's very slow paced, which is almost kind of the opposite of what we've talked about with this show.
You did bring up some things in there too, or when you were trying to explain it to me. Like, some things that seemed a little weird to me.
How they're gonna have her don't talk English in that entire episode, and then
suddenly no English.
Suddenly in the next episode,
episode.
Oh, I speak English now.
I mean that too. That was one little weird. I'm like, odd, but okay. But the Tesseract thing.
Convenience.
The she has like what Tesseract power or something like that.
I think so. That's why they're blue, I believe. But she fell into this like lake that basically had like the Tesseracts or something at the bottom of it, and it basically like sucks you into like a portal thing that almost like shoots you out into this like other world that like is like perfect pretty much, and like her people or her ancestors and stuff are still living there, and they're like have powers and stuff and run around and do the stuff, but they feel like they can't leave that area though, but they've just come to love it and like.
So what, it's like heaven or some shit like that?
Kind of like similar almost to something like that, but then she basically is like, no, she has a brother or like someone that she's been looking after on the outside.
So she's like basically the only one that decides to leave out of that place. Okay.
Especially because there was like
resisted the powers of temptation.
Especially because there's like some evil, like I think there's Spaniards or some shit. I don't even fucking know. But there's some evil people coming in, like conquering their land and everything. So.
Didn't you say this was like the Mohawk tribe or something like that to me, or?
I believe so. I don't know. So much of it's so like they don't even go into too much of that. So. They kind of like leave it up in the air almost.
I don't think it was conquistadors.
It's not like something like
with like South America and stuff.
It's not like something like Killers of the Flower Moon where they go into like the Osage and stuff like that. Like they don't really touch on that. like maybe they have stuff in there for that, like especially them speaking the language. But besides that, they don't really touch on any of those elements or barely any of them.
To me, I think it would have probably been better if they just stuck with like the Predator movie version if they wanted to do like
Oh yeah,
like the whole NATO
or especially since she spoke English eventually anyway. It's just like,
yeah, I mean,
why not have two versions or just a version? Yeah,
or I mean, like
I didn't really have a problem with it, but
just said in the very beginning, oh, they're speaking Mohawk or something like that, but
Exactly.
but like just do the English translation.
yeah.
Or do, like you said, two versions could have worked too if you really wanted to be like the more authentic version, and then
Yeah, I think two versions would have just been best. And I try not to be biased with those sort of things. I don't know. It just always bugged me. Like I think I told you that with Godzilla -1. Like I was worried about.
oh yeah, you had
a
trouble
whole
like
movie.
reading
yeah,
up with the whole time during it.
but
Yeah, I'm used to like the foreign watching like foreign
with this
movies
one,
and shows. and
this
stuff
one I
like
had
that, so-
slightly more of a problem with it, especially because I felt like, and like I don't know, it's just one of those things like where I'm not trying to be biased or sound unsensitive or whatever, but they sounded like Sims like a lot of this episode. Like they were speaking like the Sims language basically. I was like,
Simish.
yeah, and I was just like,
gosh.
huh, this is like interesting, but like I feel like this is just, I don't know, especially when we get to the later episode and she's just speaking English, and they just pull that out. I'm like, why didn't you just, it's like you at first you started, no, we're gonna make it completely authentic, and then you just said, fuck that, no, we're not doing that. And then it's just like, why didn't you just do one or the other? I don't get it.
It did seem a little weird the way you described it, like how also like what Doctor Strange, what's it?
He comes in at the end of that
Yeah, like,
episode. Yeah.
What's the name?
Strange Supreme?
Strange Supreme. That's what it was, and decides to come in at the end of that, and apparently didn't really have too much. It wasn't like a continuation. It was just you find out later thing.
Yeah.
What the relevance of that is.
Exactly.
But anyway. And we'll moved on to the next one then, I guess.
Yeah, not really much more to say about that one, like we said, because you didn't see it. And there's not really much that happens in it besides that whole setup at the end, kind of like the Peggy Carter one.
Yeah, and how.
But I guess the only other thing to say about it is kind of something that doesn't even happen in it that we were talking about is there's a whole like other story, it seems, which they start at the end of that episode, but almost like how Kahori finds out about Strange Supreme and like how he's basically doing this shit, and it's kind of evil actually. There's like a whole story there almost that like they just don't fill us in on.
Yeah, and she seemed to just suddenly know it all.
And then that's
basically,
I'm guessing in that time that's when she learned English too. But like yeah,
What, he
there's this whole
fucking
story.
transfer English into her brain? Well, that's
There's
a
this
shitty
whole
way to
s-
capture your
There's this whole
victims that you
story.
need.
Oh, and then the even weirder thing is she seemed like she was in her own universe, like way in the past. That's like not even connected to like the heroes and stuff of present. And then remember in that universe in the finale when Captain Carter gets there, wasn't it one where like Hydra won or something?
Maybe.
Because there was like a Mount Rushmore, but it was just like the Red Skull's face or something, and then they were like, "This is a universe where like Hydra won because like Steve or you didn't survive, or like there was no Captain America basically."
In which one? Wait,
In the finale one, I thought, and that was the one where Kahori was there, and it was like this like barren wasteland. They started the kind of fight, like her and Captain Carter, and then eventually they all did that thing where they were fighting, and then she was like, "Wait, like we can team up, like we're on each other's side," you know, like.
Yeah. I didn't know that was actually.
Because
the
remember,
kind of I thought it was just a fucking
Strange
dead-
Supreme tried to
dead-
make her look like an asshole, and she tried to like not even he didn't even really explain it to Captain Carter.
Yeah, that's
He just
true,
tried to
yeah.
kind of get her to go in there and be like, "No, she's a villain. Like you'll know who she is. Like she has powers."
But how
like,
did he? I'm like, we'll get to we'll get to the other weirder stuff of that later.
Yeah.
Anyway, might as well just move on to the next episode. What's the next one?
The next one is the Gila found the 10 rings, which I thought this was one of the better ones of this season too, because this was kind of like we were talking about with the concept of those other ones of, well, let's basically make it like a retelling of this movie but with this character, because this was basically a retelling of Thor 1 if it took place like centuries before Thor 1.
Yeah.
And basically Hela got sent to Earth when like Shang-Chi's father was supposed to like basically meet his mother, I assume. But instead he meets Hela.
Hello.
Hela, yeah. And Yeah, I thought it was like kind of interesting because like we talked about, you just got to spend more time with Hela, and it was Kate Blanchett that came back to voice her too.
And I will say that it's actually good to get a little bit more of Hela's character.
Yeah,
That thing,
well, it's cool to see her
a little bit more
interact with like Odin and shit actually too.
Yeah, I mean, like we barely knew anything about her.
Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok.
No, it's a really cool episode.
Wait, was it Thor Ragnarok?
Because
yeah,
you
it's
just
Thor Ragnarok.
that's,
Yeah,
I think that's one of the most loved Marvel villains so far of the MCU, and you just get a whole episode with her.
I mean, like, I wouldn't go that too far just because we barely knew anything from her about it. I mean, like, she was a sick character. You're like, oh shit, I want to know
people
about, I wanna
people
know
do
more
say
about
she's
her.
one of the top.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, if you think about it, there's so many shitty ones.
But she was like barely in it though.
There's so many shitty ones, but people say she's one of the top, like top 5.
I don't know what that says about it, but I'm like, don't get me wrong, I liked her. I did like the character, or in the shit that you saw in her when she was in it. Just she was barely in it, and I did think that was one problem with Ragnarok.
Yeah.
You really don't know too much about her, and then she just wants to take over.
No, that's what I liked about this
You're like,
one.
why?
Even though it was an alternate dimension, like remember you saw how she got the helmet and everything when she was a kid too.
Oh yeah.
Like I just thought there was cool things like that, and then that's kind of the cool thing about a show like this is like you can show us another universe, but we can kind of assume with something like this, like, ooh, this might have happened in our universe too, or basically the same sort of thing.
Oh yeah, no,
you know.
for sure.
So I thought, this was a really cool one. I thought it didn't work as well when they started to go into the Shang-Chi elements, like when they went to that like Forbidden Forest area or whatever. Because I thought that was one of the weaker parts of Shang-Chi, was when Shang-Chi got towards that third act and they went there and everything. And I thought the rest of the movie was great, but then I just thought it became more like, I don't know,
No,
superhero formula, generic kind of stuff. Like, oh, we got to have a boss battle in the last act sort of thing.
Who could have predicted that? Yeah, no, I get it. It's very predictable type of
So,
thing.
yeah, this episode isn't perfect, but I think it becomes a little worse as it goes on. But
Yeah, it was like a decent. It was
a good
decent
one.
episode.
And it was
Especially
cool.
like it gets us more Hela.
yeah,
More Hela, more
cool for
person-
that.
And like I said, I do like her character.
And she's a highlight in this episode. Hela and Kate Blanchett returning to play her. But I thought the guy playing Odin was actually pretty good too. I have his name here. It's not Anthony Hopkins. It's Jeff Bergman. I thought he was pretty decent as Odin.
Yeah, he was decent enough.
And then
Still no Anthony Hopkins, but
I
I'm
know.
also a sucker for Anthony.
but he did a pretty
Hopkins.
decent like impression almost of him.
Oh yeah, no, he did a decent enough job. I can't complain.
And then Idris Elba was back as Heimdall too, and I always love Idris Elba as Heimdall.
No,
But he was
I do
quick.
agree. He was good.
He was just like, I don't see her anymore or whatever. I don't see Hela anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like I just always enjoy the whole, all of them, like the
Yeah.
whole Odin Thor family. I
No,
always like them.
It was a good
Anything
episode.
I can get more of them, I'm usually happy
It
with.
was a good episode for that sort of stuff. If you're looking for more stuff of Odin and Heimdall and
more
Hela.
Odin, more Heimdall, more Thor, more. Or no, well, yeah, you know.
Thor
I mean,
wasn't in it.
I know.
but
I know.
Thor
I know he
stuff,
was.
Thor
but I mean,
family
like, things,
stuff, yeah.
I mean, in general, the fucking Thor family. I like.
Yeah.
Especially with.
It was kind of funny too how there was that
Which-
one point where she was like talking about Frigga or whatever, like Thor and Loki's mom, and she was like, I hate my new stepmom or like some shit like that. It was almost like it's kind of one of those moments where you have like, wow, this was before she like even knew Thor or Loki. Like it's kind of funny to think like she's like the only child or something right now, like just like hating like that he has a new wife or some shit.
Yeah, I mean,
It's kind of like,
you're not
wow,
wrong.
this is funny. But yeah, stuff like that made that one enjoyable, I think.
Yeah.
And then, so I'd say that's definitely one of the better ones of this season.
No, I agree. That was a fun one.
Last two, which were kind of a two-parter, was the Avengers Assembled. What if Avengers Assembled in 1602, which kind of continues the Captain Carter storyline.
Yep, she got transported to this supernatural, or not supernatural, this medieval world through supernatural.
That we learn
means.
is like a merge of like modern day and 1602, right?
Yeah, it's basically like, I guess it's a universe that never really advanced. I want to say, but 1602 for some reason they also say it's anyway. Point is, she gets summoned there because of magic, because
Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch. Yeah,
That's why I thought that was kind of cool, but then that they also kind of just threw that in there too. But
Yeah.
it at least made sense.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, She gets in. She meets all the alternate medieval versions, equivalents to a bunch of people. Thor is. What was
King
it? Hela
Thor.
was Hela? Was
The
it?
one from the other episode?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
that's what I was wondering at first too, because it was literally the episode after the Hela one.
Mm.
So I thought that too. I was like, oh, is this her from the last one? Especially since it was like,
No, not from the last one, but the alternate version of her. Was that? Who was the ruler? But because didn't Thor say it was her the sister? If I'm
yeah, it was Hela.
It was Hela.
So,
That's
yeah,
what
it was a
that's what I'm talking
universe.
about. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was right. It was Hela.
I thought you were saying, is this the version
I know
from the
it's not the
last
same fucking
episode?
Hela.
Yeah,
It's-
because I thought that when we watched it, I was like, is this the same version from the last
no,
episode?
it's the alternate version of Hela. I did like seeing that. The
Yeah.
alternate Hela, Thor,
It's
and
almost like
Loki.
if she was good.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
seemed like a nice person. I'm like, oh, that's good.
Wow, the family actually got along for once. Too bad it got ruined right at the start of the episode.
Yeah, no kidding.
Unless
like-
they're gonna continue that and like she's just fine. She just got like sucked through a portal or some shit.
Also, nice seeing Loki again. Nice little drama queen Loki as
And that
a
was Tom
medieval fucking lord.
Hiddleston as Loki again too. And I like how they've got. I like how they get him and Chris Hemsworth to come back as Thor.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because Chris Hemsworth, like, at least Thor sounds like Thor because it is Thor.
Yeah,
and
well,
like
Yeah, the
same
sound
thing
is
with
always
Loki.
just-
So I felt like the jokes here just kind of worked better, like especially with the Thor and Loki jokes in that
Mhm.
episode. I think the jokes in a lot of that episode like worked just better for me, like because even if they were just one that were really stupid and even kind of cringy, like the Rogers Hood, I was still kind of like
Rogers
I was
Hood.
still kind of just like, all right, but that's so stupid. I almost just can't. I kind of just have to laugh at it too, you know.
Fucking- seeing fucking Captain America being Robin Hood is fucking kind of funny. to me.
Exactly, and I think what made that for me too was that it was like Bucky and Hank Scott
To-
that were fucking like on his Robin Hood team.
To me, honestly, I thought Hawkeye would have been the fucking Robin Hood of that.
you would think he would have been on the
universe.
team too. I know, kind of missed opportunity.
I'm like-
They should have just had him there too on
I would
top
have.
of all
I would
of
have
them.
personally saw medieval Steve Rogers being like an old knight or knight or something like that because the shield and shit. But you know, whatever,
Small complaint.
whatever.
They had the. It's like someone just on the writing team said Rogers Hood, and they're like, we have to do that.
Oh my god! You're like, what the fuck? Okay.
God damn it, guys! Really prioritizing the stupid ass jokes here.
I also don't know why everyone loves seeing fucking Robin Hood as a big hero these days. I keep seeing him between him and Robin Hood. Like in the Doctor Who episode, I also said I like Robin Hood, and I just saw recently. I'm like, I don't know.
Huh? Weird. Here's the recent trend.
I didn't know fucking Robin
coincidence.
Hood was such a big character these days.
Yeah, he's a huge. The kids love him.
Oh. Anyway.
But yeah, I thought that one was really good. You had a lot of voice people returning in that. Samuel Jackson in it,
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston. So many characters in that one, and I felt like I liked Iron Man more in that one too.
Kind of funny seeing them rob Loki.
Like how Iron Man seemed kind of just like the drunk, and then like she needed his help or whatever, and he was like, "Oh shit!" Like,
in an alternate timeline,
yeah.
you, me, and Stark, and all of us used to be friends. Like how I would be friends with Stark? That idiot! Just fucking. Oh,
how he just how happy he just randomly was the Hulk version in that episode. I like how
like,
they just
what the
threw that
fuck?
shit in there too.
why do we have Hulk
fuck?
Hogan in the?
Why is this one in the other one? He got stabbed with the fucking Hulk serum. Why is this shit in this one?
We got alternate version of Bruce too, being essentially like the man in the iron.
Hulk with a beard.
Yeah,
and
it was
long
Hulk
hair.
with beard, and like remember he was wearing like the iron mask when he was in the prison. Like,
Yeah.
oh, look at me, I'm ugly. And then turns into the Hulk, and you're like, what the fuck? There's a Hulk in this universe too? How? I'm just like, how? What the fuck radiation is he getting in 1602?
Yeah.
What is this?
But yeah, this was a good one. Continues the. It's cool that they kind of have like, what if the Avengers assembled in 1602, and then it mixes with the overall story of Captain Carter and the Watcher and Strange Supreme, and
It's derpy as fuck, but I dig it.
I like
That's
this
all I'm
one. This
saying.
is my favorite one of the season.
It was a fun time.
Yeah. And then this
Yeah.
kind of leads into the finale too, because I literally at the end they do "to be continued."
Yeah.
But it's Strange. What if Strange intervened? This is what the episode's called. And you have Benedict Cumberbatch coming back to play Strange Supreme.
Yep.
You have Captain Carter once again in this episode, and Jeffrey Wright is the Watcher, who's pretty much in every episode. But
Okay, I'm still weirded out that fucking Peggy Carr can fucking see the Watcher this whole time, and just like
Who?
how Peggy was able to actually see the Watcher.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of plot holes in this episode.
There's a lot of plot holes, man, in this. I'm like,
Strange Supreme
weirded out, just weird
takes
things.
Peggy to talk, and
Like we were like before we were discussing like why does Strange even bother like bringing Peggy
yeah,
over to essentially, like I said,
it's like he brought her there just to he wanted to ruin his own plan.
yeah, basically to throw his fucking wrench in his own his own plan, and I'm like, I feel like the way
only
he
logic
talks
we
to
said
her,
that works is that he thought like
she would validate his plan.
because of Steve.
Oh, dude, you know what it because he brings that up every time.
Yeah.
You would do the same, Peggy, for Steve. You'd want Steve to come back to, and it's like all this shit, and I'm like, dude, are you just doing this to get to fucking validate yourself? You piece of shit. What kind of fucking villain are you?
Because she didn't. It's like you just want her to do it
She's-
so bad. So you have one other person that did it like you did.
Yeah, and like fucking, and she's like, no, Steve wouldn't want this. Steve wouldn't want me to fucking destroy. I'm like,
Jesus.
I like
Crazy
the-
fuck.
excuse me, but
Gazoon type.
oh, thank you. But I like how we also fucking discussed like every person he was about to sacrifice to the fucking furnace was a villain except this one chick, that chick from what's her name?
Kahori.
Yeah, Kahori.
Yeah. Who
That- she
suddenly
was like-
now speaks English.
Oh, yes, that too. But how she just for some reason Strange has to sacrifice her specifically or something like
I don't
that.
know. It didn't make any sense.
It didn't make sense to me. I'm like,
Because then in the end he still got it, so clearly he didn't need
He
to
didn't need
use her. Yeah.
I'm like, I guess you could say maybe that's.
So then
'cause
we
he
were saying,
he-
why didn't he just use even some of those villains he had bubbled up on the wall? Like, he
Or
could've
like
just
I said,
freed-
you could have
could've
grabbed
just
another
freed-
villain if you
Could
really
have just
wanted
freed
one.
them right in front of the thing, and then Sparta kicked them inside of the fucking thing.
It didn't make sense to
Yeah.
me. Honest to God, like or at the very least, could have grabbed another like another universe killer, fucking villain. There's plenty of them.
Yeah.
There's fucking so many of them. If you ever know, it's the multiverse, bitch.
Yeah.
He could have
There's-
just grabbed one from another time. Like
It's
he
like
didn't
we
need
said,
to grab her.
this has an Avengers Endgame problem where this episode is actually, I think, like second or third best of this season. A lot of enjoyable things here. Benedict Cumberbatch does good with the voice and stuff like that. I think we also just talked about one of the problems is that Strange wasn't really in any of the rest of the season besides that cliffhanger ending that they set up this episode with.
Yeah,
which-
you're seeing like all the villains from the other episodes.
Which I also told
all
you was a
captured by him
problem,
somehow,
and they should
too.
have given another episode because there's a whole story that it seems like is missing between him and Kahori.
Oh yeah, like she just knows his whole plan too, basically. Like,
Yeah.
didn't he tell you? Or like I know he tricked you into thinking that I'm the bad guy, but he's actually trying to collect me.
So I'm
he can
saying, like, they
sacrifice
have
me
some
to the
sort of
furnace.
history or something.
"What?"
Yeah, they have some sort of history,
She
but
find out. Yeah. Also, somehow Steve is able to bring her to that like world to make it look like she's the bad guy, and but he for some reason couldn't trap her because like he needed apparently Peggy to trap her. Or just stand there. I'm not even sure. I'm like I said, I don't know why Peggy was brought into this to begin with. I'm not even sure why he bothered bringing her to this world that would make her look like a bad person just for Peggy to be convinced that she might be a bad person.
yeah.
But it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to me. Honest to God, I hate the fact that it was still a decent like episode, even though I'm fucking.
I think one of the only
Poking
things that
holes.
kind of makes sense is like Steve being that like forerunner or whatever they called it, because basically he hit the time stone when they were fighting Thanos in Infinity War.
Oh yeah.
So I think that makes sense as to why like the future or present time is mixing with that time was because of that. I'm guessing.
No, I can see.
But there's a
that.
lot of other things where, like you just
But
said, like there's
I'm mostly
plot
poking
holes
holes
and
at the other shit,
Yeah,
to be honest.
exactly.
Also, would have been interesting to see if, like, at the end of all those episodes, you saw those villains that we were seeing, like, Strange being in the end credits, or not the end credit, but like in the end of each episode, just collecting them. So you're like,
That could have been cool too.
I mean, like,
Better way
just
to
so more hinting,
yeah.
because he literally collects almost every villain in
And then you would have been like, what is he up
to?
to or something too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It would have brought more of the mystery of it. and it would have been kind of another little cool Easter egg, especially when she fucking smashes them all and they're all like.
Especially since half the
all
time
of
they
them
just
there.
do that on this show anyway, where there's some sort of thing continuing an overall story. It's like they may as well just do that throughout the whole show, because like we talked about, there's times where I'm like sitting there struggling to watch like another episode, but at least if there was like something like, oh, tease for the next one, you know, whatever, you'd be kind of like, huh, interesting, where's this gonna go, you know, like I don't know, I just think it would be more clever on their part.
It would have been more clever just to see, like I said, it would have been kind of clever to see Strange at the end of each one, just somehow, not even if it showed him like taking them, or even you just see him somehow in the background, or just cuts to him like in the distance, like just watch it, like seeing everything.
Maybe it starts off the watchers like, I can't. Maybe it starts off like the watchers like, I can't see Strange anymore, or something like that, and then like after that you see like what he's up to basically. But it's still kind of like you're piecing it together, like, okay, is he doing something good, or like is this like what is he doing exactly?
I'm like, the fact that he's also he's collect all these villains, you can technically say he's doing good. And
then
until like just he decides to collect that one chick for some reason at the end.
And then they probably, the way they could have just fixed it besides that is like that Kahori one, they could have just made it she spoke English just the whole time anyway, so there wasn't that plot hole. And then it should have just been a longer episode where when Strange came in at the end, should have just been like 10 or 15 minutes longer and told you whatever story like happened there, you know?
Yeah, I don't know how she just figured out everything.
Exactly. Stupid.
Kind of weird.
Either that or made the finale longer, and that's how the finale starts.
Why the fuck she's in this other, like these other alternate universe, but also Strange didn't capture her, even though I'm guessing he's the one that brought her.
Well, that was the biggest thing I was telling you was my problem is
I just don't know about.
How did she get even to that universe? Because it doesn't seem like it's hers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
It's just like, what?
I mean, unless it is hers and we just for some reason.
Or unless it's a thing. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of like unsure what her power set even is. She kind of just seems like one of those people with like an OP ass power
weird
set.
Generic OP powers. Yeah, I can see that.
Exactly. So I don't know if like she might even have multiversal powers or some shit. Like, who the fuck knows?
I don't know. Apparently she has Tesseract powers, so I wouldn't doubt it.
Marvel's been doing that a lot recently. Like they did that with that Secret Invasion one with Nick Fury, where Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones, her character just ended up being like the most OP superhero in the end. And it's like, why are you just gonna make them extremely OP? It almost like defeats the purpose of even having a character, because it's kind of that Superman effect of like. I think that's why it's so hard for some people to write Superman, because when they're just so OP, it's like, what do you do at that point?
I mean, like, sometimes, like, it's also when you have too many weirdly OP pet characters just in fucking in things.
It just seems convenient or, like, lazy, where you're like,
and
there's that, too.
You also don't know too much about, especially when they're, like, a new OP character, you don't really know. I mean, that could also fuck, because with Superman, everyone really knows who to fuck Superman, so they're like, oh, yeah, Alien Man, who has OP powers because the fucking sun. Go fuck yourself. But I don't know. It feels weird when you have too many OP characters. No one really feels OP.
Yeah.
It kind of ruins it at times. I'm like,
exactly.
To me, I like the idea of like I always like ones that have like might have superpower, but they're not like OP until they master that power. You know what I mean? It's like let's see, what's a good example? Let's say, why am I blanking on a fucking character? fuck, I'm doing a bad job right now at this. I don't know. Let's say, Doctor Doom. Let's say Doom. Fucking, I mean, like magic powers and stuff like that. He has. It's like cool. I mean, like on their own in the wide, in the big spectrum of other fucking powers. You'd have generic, basic, like, fucking power, like, super villain powers in most of Marvel. But he's mastered that shit to the point where it's dangerous. Or, like, Mr. Fantastic. Somehow fucking stupid OP at times that I've seen in comics. That could just be comic bullshit, too, half the time, but he's just somehow...
Yeah.
Like, you could also just make the excuse. He's just mastered his fucking powers so hard where he just... He's just dumb. He's just dumbly OP just because he mastered it. But the thing is, you saw when he was weak. Now you're just seeing as he grows, which is always like a cool thing.
I feel like the Strange Supreme...
Someone who just gets super OP powers right off the bat never really appealed as much to me.
I feel like the Strange Supreme kind of like battle at the end of that finale was kind of like weird too, because like I feel like he didn't even like do much crazy shit. It's kind of just like the generic Doctor Strange shit you see, like, oh, I'm gonna make copies of myself and stuff like that, where it's like, dude, you're really not gonna try harder than this? Like,
Really?
fuck. They're gonna kick, and they kicked his ass.
Oh, that's another guy. That's another fucking Doctor Strange. He just had magical powers originally. He was just becoming a generic sorcerer, and then he just gets he becomes dumb as fuck or dumb powerful just because he mastered his trade. Also,
but sometimes those characters are just more interesting.
Yeah,
you know, like someone like Doctor Strange, even though they might be a little OP, like they're just more interesting.
I'm not saying he was born with OP. He worked to become OP. Is what I'm saying. That's what I like. Or it's like, or they gather more knowledge about their fucking things and how they can do it. All that crap. Anyway,
I feel like that was part of my problem with the finale. Is like Captain Carter and like Kahori were just like extremely OP, and like I don't know. It's just like you have a character like Strange who it's just one of those stupid things where it's like, okay, obviously he's the more OP one here, especially with like his power set and everything. You make him weak as fuck, and then like it makes sense that they Kahori and Captain Carter would win because they have like the Infinity Stones and stuff. But like I just feel like that fight was like cool, but also like a little underwhelming at the same time.
Having the title Strange Supreme is I would figure it would be in a more is fucking powerful Strange, because I've seen way more powerful Stranges in the comics.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously the MCU version of the Strange is better than that one or more powerful.
Yeah, it seems like it half the time. But yeah, and like I said, there's a lot of plot holes, I think, throughout the fucking whole episode where you're like, oh, just poking holes in there every single time. You can do that till the cows go home, and these days, especially in fucking Marvel movies and shows.
But yeah, I guess to kind of break it down for the pose, I would say that Avengers Assemble in 1602 is probably my favorite, or I would say was the best of this season.
Yeah, probably one of the best ones. Yeah.
If you're looking to just continue the overall story of What If, you could literally just watch this in the finale episode.
No, just watch The Holiday. Just watch the fucking
episode
Christmas
3,
special.
The Holiday. Just watch that one.
Just watch the Christmas special. You'll love it.
No, but like if you're more interested in the overall story here, you could just watch those two, the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, like you could probably do that, to be honest.
Because that's really there's like the cliffhanger endings in the other episodes, but it's literally the last couple seconds of those episodes, so you don't really need them.
I guess maybe episode 5 too with the Carter or like Peg, but to be honest, they do go over that pretty well.
Yeah, they kind of do a recap sort of thing.
Like where she just got fucking summoned. You know the reason why too. So, technically, you can just watch the last 2, to be honest, and just have a good time.
And those are, I think, we both agreed, probably the 2 best episodes of the season.
Oh, granted, it probably would be a good idea just to watch the other ones, just because the fucking, the Easter eggs of unleashing it when.
True.
When Peggy just smashes all the prison of all the universe killers, and you're like,
True.
oh, look, Prison Break.
Or there's even the Happy Hogan in the 1602 episode, like we were saying, it makes no sense, but somehow has like the Hulk powers again.
Yeah,
that's an Easter egg to the third
weird.
one. Yeah. So
where are they all getting radiation from?
I would say
1602.
If you really don't want to watch the second season, but if you do want to just watch it for story beats or like continuing the overall story, watch the last 2. It is an anthology, so you don't really need to watch the other ones. But like if you are interested in just MCU stuff, or if any of those ideas we talked about interest you, I'm sure they will. And they're quick enough too that you might really enjoy it, but we also felt like there was pacing problems here. And
yeah. Be careful.
Comedy
sometimes,
problems.
Like, might be good just to watch them in little intervals. Like
not
watch
all
like
at
2
once.
episodes.
Yeah,
one night and then just keep going, because you try and binge watch. Sometimes you might just get a little bit drained.
Burnt out on it too. Yeah, I agree. So those are definitely the 2 best. I think if there was like a third best, I would probably say it was the Hello one.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Besides that, the Peter Quill attacked Earth's Mightiest Heroes was probably the only other one I thought was pretty good this season.
Also, I liked Nebula.
Yeah.
Like I said,
those are like top. Those are top 5, I would say.
I did like the.
And then after that, probably the Captain Carter, Hydra Stomper one.
Yeah.
Then the Kahori one, then the Iron Man one, and then the Happy Hogan one.
Yeah, that sounds
being
better.
the worst. So, yeah, pretty good season. Definitely few highs, a lot of lows, a lot of mid too. So,
Yeah,
but it can all vary for different people.
Yeah, I also don't really watch it for the good. Oh, we forgot to also mention Peggy
Going
at
to
the fucking end. Now going to be
Oh, with the Watcher.
Yeah, with the Watcher. She's just straight up friends with the Watcher at the very end.
Yeah.
Now she's going to go on a nice.
He's like, fuck it. I guess I've broken the rules enough. You may as well just like be with me now.
Yeah, that's
So we're wondering if for season 3, like, are they gonna
be
both
like a
be
backup
narrating?
commentary type thing on it, or asking.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I would like that.
It'd be nice little fun, as long as they do it right. Like, I could see how they could fuck it up and make it a little bit annoying at times. Especially if she's going to have that fucking thing of, all right, let's interfere with this. And the Watcher's like, no, 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 Peggy. Yeah. You've already fucked with enough time.
That could be
Peggy.
cool. That could be cool, though. Like, I hope they don't do that too much, but it would be cool if, like, at some point she
if
was
she just
like,
becomes insufferable about it. I mean, like, if she brings that up, oh, we should up. And then Watcher's like, no.
Yeah.
No. And then she's like, fine. Maybe. I'm like, I'm fine with that, but like if it's like
if it's like a whole planet dying or something, and she's like interfere, I feel like that makes sense though, because it's like you interfered with me, like may as well interfere to save this whole planet, like. But yeah, we'll see. It's all about how they write it, how they handle it. So
I mean, if I was
just
to watch
don't make her annoying.
Bullshit she's gonna pull on me, I'm gonna be a little pissed.
Because I think that
like, don't fucking question me. Fuck
I think
you.
she's like one of the better characters of this show, like her and the Watcher. I mean, they're pretty much the only two consistent like. Characters we keep getting, really So, yeah, I think that'd be cool for season 3 if you kind of paired them up and had them be like the two narrators of the show, and it could kind of continue the overall story without having to give her an episode each season.
I still wish they explained how she really could see the Watcher, other than what your theory was, like since he already interfered.
Yeah, maybe since the people
he's
dealt with or interfered with, I mean, or talked with.
I don't know. That seems like a weird way to fucking put that in. I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of those weird things.
I guess that's better than just hearing that, oh, she's just special. Right?
But yeah, season 3 might be out pretty soon. We already saw the episode clip for the new season.
Oh yeah.
So and it said coming soon, so I'm guessing it's coming out this year.
Fucking shotgunning these things, Jesus.
Wouldn't you say probably this year? I imagine if they already came out with the trailer the same day as the last episode,
like this year, which.
So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, supposedly one of the writers that's been on since the beginning, AC Bradley, they're gonna be leaving, so there's only gonna be one episode in season 3 written by them. So. And I think that was the one we saw the clip of, the Winter Soldier and Bucky, or the Winter Soldier and Red Soldier one. So, or Red Guardian one.
No, yeah.
So, yeah, I really hope that they can kind of just, maybe there'll be a new tone or like a slightly tonal shift, because this emphasis on comedy, I just think doesn't help this show. Like, there's some really cool concepts.
Get a new writer in there, and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. No, I agree.
So maybe we're on better things. Writer. Yeah, maybe we're gonna get better things next season.
Or it could be even worse. Who knows?
We'll see. Or it could just be the same. Like they're like, keep it like this. We want it like this.
Keep it consistent. The people love that. Everyone else who watches What If, what the fuck?
How did it get shittier? What the fuck? It's like they just decided to make every episode like that shitty Happy Hogan one.
Fucking, they're just coming right from behind you, kicking you in the nuts. You know how, yeah, you love this. No, I don't.
But I think that about wraps up our thoughts on this season of What If.
What If?
Up next, we have our Netflix exclusive Pokemon Concierge review. 4 episodes only, and they're each like 20 minutes or less. I'm like, what the fuck?
One time fucking spinoff.
Yeah, I guess they're not doing any more seasons. It's a one-off. So here are our thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.